Hey, it's Chris Allingham with the Virtual Weber Bullet. You know, a while back I cooked 6 slabs of ribs, and then next thing I knew, a week went by and I hadn't cleaned out my cooker. So I decided yesterday I would clean it out and I would take my camera outside and shoot some video to show you how I clean out the ashes and the water from my cooker. I got to thinking about this because there were some people on the Virtual Weber Bulletin board who were talking about what a pain it is to deal with water, the pros and cons of water. Personally, I've never found it to be that big of a pain. I like to use water when I cook at 275 or below. I've written an entire article on the subject. I'll put the link up here on the screen so you can check it out if you're interested. I'm not, trying to change anyone's mind about water. I know a lot of people have given up water a long time ago and they like the results they get. Personally, for me, it's a water smoker. I think water is meant to be used by design in a lot of instances, and I like to use it. So I'll just show you how I dispose of the water in a way that I think makes sense and it is easy to do. Before I show you that video, just a couple of things. You do need a large plastic bag, like a yard waste bag. If you've got a 22-inch cooker, you may need an exceptionally large yard waste bag, but for the 18 or the 14-inch cookers, a normal sort of black, yard leaf bag will work. And you also need some kind of a brush to brush the ashes out of the cooker. I like this brush. It works great. Stiff bristle, natural fiber, not very expensive. I'll put a link up here for how you can get one of these if you're interested. Besides that, I want to make a comment about the pan. I've got a 20-year-old Smoky Mountain Cooker. I have the old, shallow 1-gallon water pan. So I don't have as much stuff to get rid of as if you have a newer 18 or 22-inch cooker. The 18 has a 2.5-gallon pan. The 22-inch cooker has a 3-gallon pan. So to make life easier on yourself, if you're going to use water, don't refill it to the top right at the end of a cooking session. Let the water start to run down so you have less stuff to dispose of at the end. However, don't let the thing run dry, because when you do, you let that grease and gunk burn onto the pan. It makes it much harder to dispose of and clean up. As for foiling the pan, I sort of go back and forth on the subject. You will find a video in which I say very clearly that I never foil the inside of the water pan when I have water in the pan. However, in recent years, I have been backsliding and I have sometimes lined my pan with foil. It's easier to do on the old water pan, on the old cooker design, because you could line it with one 18-inch piece of foil. That's impossible to do with these larger pans that come on the 18 and 24-inch cooker today. You either have to seam the foil together or you have to just overlap it in an X pattern or something like that. Even if you do that though, and some water and liquid grease gets past the foil, it's still easier to clean it up than if you had probably nothing at all in the pan. And as long as you don't let it run dry and burn to the bottom, it's not that difficult to clean up. So anyway, let me show you the video I shot yesterday when I went out in the backyard and cleaned out the inside of my Smoky Mountain Cooker. Here's that video. So the first thing I'll do is lift off the middle cooking section with the water pan and the cooking grate and the lid in place, just set it aside. Then I'll remove the charcoal chamber, and using a stiff bristle brush, I'll brush off any ashes on the inside and the outside. Next, I'll remove the charcoal grate, and again, using that stiff bristle brush, I will brush off any ashes, any grease, any little bits of meat that are sticking to that charcoal grate. Now with my large yard waste bag, I will cover the top of the 18-inch charcoal bowl and just dump the contents into that bag. If you've got a 14-inch cooker, you'll be able to do the same. If you have a 22-inch cooker, you may need a larger bag than the one shown here. Then I take that stiff bristle brush and I brush out the contents, anything stuck to the bottom of the bowl, and just brush that into the yard waste bag. Now I place the yard waste bag inside the charcoal bowl, and I lift out my water pan and dump the contents right inside the charcoal. Those ashes are going to absorb the liquid and the grease, sort of turn it into a substance that can go into the trash without making much of a mess. You see I wrap the inside and the outside of the pan. I just peel off that foil, toss it in with the ashes and the liquid, and I've got pretty much a clean pan. Now just tie up the bag and it'll go straight into the trash. As for the water pan, I'll just bring that in the house, spray it with a little simple green, wipe it off with a paper towel, and I've got a clean water pan. So I just watched that video along with you. A couple of comments. At the point where I dumped the water and the grease into the ashes, I said it makes a substance. You know, it's almost like wet kitty litter. It just really absorbs that liquid and the grease and turns into a semi-solid that just goes into the garbage with the rest of our household trash. I've been doing that for 20 years. I've never had a problem with it making a mess in any way. So it's a pretty good process that works well for me. The other thing is in that very last scene where I'm cleaning the water pan, I didn't get much of anything past the foil, just a little bit of grease, and it cleaned up with, you know, a paper towel and some simple green. If you've got the bigger water pan for the 18 or the 22-inch smoker, obviously you'll probably have to do more than just use a paper towel with simple green. You may have to wash it, use some warm water and some soap and maybe a scrubber. As I've said before, I don't really find that to be all that difficult as long as you don't allow that stuff to bake onto the surface. So the key there is to, you know, make sure you don't let the pan run totally dry during the process, and make sure you have some liquid left in it so that the grease and the gunk is sort of soft. If you foil the pan, it should come out for the most part with the foil, and you'll be left with a little bit of water and grease that just would come off with hot soap and water. Anyway, hope this has been interesting or informative for you. It may not, as I said, I'm not trying to change anyone's mind. It may not have changed your mind about water, but I did want to show you what I do and what I find that works pretty well for me. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.